it all winner for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by none of my friends. Couldn't make it tonight. It's a late one. So those guys, they couldn't make it, but I wanted to get something out for the loyal listeners. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Ross Chastain type of weekend. He was the big winner down in Kansas, getting it done late in stage 3. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Podcast available every Tuesday night. Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. And available on YouTube. You can see our pretty faces, although you'll only be seeing my pretty face tonight. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. I'm not exactly sure what those guys are doing. I think it's just a lot of football intake. But I just want to jump in, give you guys some content on a Wednesday or Tuesday night, and just go over some NASCAR news, because there was some pretty big stories. One of the first ones, Ticketmaster has been named the official ticketing partner of NASCAR. Saw a lot of people angry about this on Twitter and various social medias, which I completely understand, because honestly, who likes Ticketmaster? All the fees, all the bullshit that comes along with it. It just kind of sucks. I know I always went kind of through the ticketing office. I know SMI has people calling me constantly to have me renew my tickets and stuff like that. Not sure if those things will change or if any of that will be impacted. I know NASCAR owned tracks do the same. And then Pocono, our local track, has local operations. Now, I'm not even sure. I mean, you could get those tickets on Ticketmaster anyways, so I don't know if it's just an official partnering or what, or if we'll see any changes. We will see. Speaking of changes, though, we have some changes coming to Kaulig Racing in the Cup Series. Ty Dillon just announced he will return to Cup Series full-time in 2025. He's going to drive the number 10 for Kaulig Racing. Same week that Daniel Hemrick announced he will not run for Kaulig in 2025. And it seems they're getting rid of the 31 car completely. Not sure if they're going to sell the charter or they're just not going to run the number. And I know the 10 car and what's the 16 stuff? We'll see what happens with the rest of Kaulig. Kaulig's had all sorts of shakeups and a lot of weird decisions over the last 2 years. So we'll see what happens with them. I think they're just trying to, I don't know, get some consistency. Ty Dillon, not sure if that's the guy you need, but it seems like they're strengthening their relationship with RCR as well. So the Dillon brothers come with the RCR. It's kind of a full package. And speaking of a package deal, Netflix is announcing Full Speed is returning to Netflix, the docuseries that followed the playoff drivers. But it seems that NASCAR Studios, which they announced that a couple of months ago with the new media rights deal, they are combining with Words and Pictures, who is the company that produced the first season of Full Speed. And it seems like they have other projects in the works. So I'm excited about that. I know me and Matt really enjoyed the Full Speed docuseries. I'm not sure if I remember if Eric watched it. A lot of our friends did. A lot of people enjoyed it. I love seeing the behind the scenes stuff. I'm assuming they're filming right now since we're in the playoffs, and I can't wait to see what they come out with in 2025. No release date yet, though. So we'll keep you updated on that. And then since we are heading into Talladega at the super speedways this year, a lot of talk has been about cars lifting up. We saw a couple flips at Daytona and Talladega in the spring. And it seems NASCAR is implementing more aerodynamic changes for the Cup car this weekend, including an extended height roof rail. Originally, it was supposed to go over into the windshield, and all the drivers complained about visibility and the lack of being able to use a tear off because it kind of covered a portion of the windshield. So you'd probably only have about 75% of the windshield that was able to have a tear off on. And then they're also extending rocker panel skirts, which they tried that a little bit in Daytona. I think they're extending them even more. And then they're adding a fabric to the right side of the roof flap. So when the roof flap comes up, there's a little piece of fabric that kind of makes a little dome. That way, if it kind of turns to the side, it catches that air too and kind of disrupts it. So we'll see if those changes make any difference. And then one big news that was announced over the last couple days, Carson Kvapil heading to Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series full time. He's going to drive the number 1 car, and then just announced Bass Pro Shops will return to sponsor them for 23 races in the Xfinity Series. So huge commitment for Bass Pro Shops. Big congratulations to Carson Kvapil. I think he just won in Martinsville too. So you win a clock and you get promoted, all in the same deal. He was running for Junior Motorsports in the Cars Tour. Let's see, jumping into the NASCAR weekend, we had triple header, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. I caught the truck race at the end, nail biter. It was coming down to some various pitting strategy and some fuel strategy, and Corey Heim coming out victorious. I think it was a Grand figure. He was on a fuel strategy. He was able to finish out the race. Who ran out of gas? Former champion. God, this is why I need the other guys here. Can't remember names for the life of me. But a couple of guys ran out of gas on with a couple to go. There was a caution, well, almost. There was a spin out, and I thought there was going to be a caution, but they held off. We got to see the end, and it was a great end. The Xfinity race on Saturday, I didn't get a chance to check it out, but apparently it was a barn burner between Aric Almirola, Cole Custer, and another Toyota driver got into Cole Custer, and Cole's a little mad at him. Aric was going to bust my balls today about it. That's why I wore this t-shirt. But a good win for Aric Almirola, and he's going to have some races next season too. So if you're an Aric Almirola fan, he is returning in 2025 for a handful of races in the Xfinity Series. And then we move on to Cup. Ross Chastain, he led 5 times for 52 laps. The race lasted 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 54 seconds. We saw 10 cautions for 47 laps and 30 lead changes among 15 different drivers. Your top 5, Ross Chastain, William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, and Ty Gibbs. I gave the race about a B+. I thought it was a pretty good race. I couldn't really think of anything that would make it an A for me. I feel like the guys were kind of on the same page. When we were talking earlier, they had a hard time kind of remembering this race. Not a whole lot of memorable stuff, except for we saw a lot of playoff drivers having problems once again. I know Denny Hamlin had a handful of issues on pit road. Ryan Blaney had a loose wheel that made him come into pit road at least twice. In fact, he was going to run out of gas before the end of the race. Thankfully, that Kyle Busch caution came out, saved Ryan's Blaney day, and got him a top 5 in the process because he wasn't going to make it on gas. And then his 2 teammates, Joey Logano and Austin Cindric, both had loose wheels also. So 2 fast pit stops going on at Team Penske. You need to slow it down a little bit. Sometimes those quick pit stops, yeah, they're worth it in the short term, but in the long term, it could bite you in the ass when it comes to the playoff standings. And Austin Cindric is suffering from that. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Tyler Reddick, another playoff driver, just had a really slow car all day long. Didn't get the finish he needed. And then Kyle Larson, he ran over debris early on and was put down a lap down. But once he got his lap back, he was able to kind of maintain. Where did he finish? Kyle Larson finished in 26th, so not the day he needed. I don't know if there was some damage with that tire. I guess there was some underbody damage, with the diffuser and whatnot. But overall, I thought the race was a pretty solid race. We saw some great restarts, some great battles throughout the pack. And then we saw a lot of playoff driver drama, and that kind of is where we're at with that. I know Aric gave his checkers to Trackhouse Racing in general. Ross Chastain, of course, spoiling the playoffs, making sure no one could lock themselves into the next round with this one. Had a great run, too. He led 5 times for 52 laps, like I said. Really great battles with Kyle Busch, too. That really made the race exciting in the third stage for sure. I can't remember what his records was. Maybe I think it had something to do with the playoff drivers. I can't remember. And then my checkers, I have to give it to Corey LaJoie of all people. I don't know what his average finish was throughout the day, but he finished 15th in his first start for Rick Ware Racing, which we praised that Rick Ware car with Justin Haley all season long early on when he was doing really well. So I have to give Corey LaJoie his due there. He performed very well. I know he's performing, basically auditioning for a job because he has nothing signed for 2025. I'm not sure if Rick Ware will keep him or not, or if he wants to stay at Rick Ware, but I have to give him kudos because I give him a lot of shit regardless. I also want to give Zane Smith my honorable mention too. I just thought he had a really great car all day long. Qualified 15th, finished top 10, and I think there was one pit stop where he made up like 10 spots taking 2 tires. And I think that was the big difference maker for him. He was able to stay up front for most of the day. Fell off a little bit near the end there. And then let's see. I'm going with my text messages to remember what. So Matt wasn't sure last time I talked to him about his checkers. His wreckers, though, was Josh Berry in that whole entire situation. I'm going to pause on that for a second, though. My wreckers goes to Chase Briscoe, even though I don't think he really did anything egregious, holding up Kyle Busch and inevitably causing the incident where Kyle Busch spun. He's a playoff driver trying to stay on the lead lap. That's a big deal. But at the same time, he didn't do him any favors at all. And I get it. You know, he's a playoff driver trying to stay on the lead lap. Kyle Busch isn't in the playoffs. He's just going for that win. Really want to see Kyle Busch get that win. But here's the thing, Kyle. You know, you got one taken away by Chase Briscoe this week. But he gave you one in Bristol at the dirt race in 2022 because he took one away from Tyler Reddick that race. That was Kyle Busch's only win of 2022. So technically, Chase Briscoe is also the only reason why the streak is still going right now. So you still have a chance to get you there. I give Chase Briscoe the wreckers, though, because this kind of just adds to his body of work. I don't know how many times we've seen Chase Briscoe make kind of not even a bonehead move, just like overly aggressively racing guys needlessly, where it ended his day. I forget, there was a race earlier on this season where me and one of the listeners, Joe Vav, were going back and forth on text message where it's like, man, Chase Briscoe is like a wrecking ball out there. You know, it might have been Atlanta in the spring, maybe even Kansas in the spring. I can't remember, but again, Chase Briscoe, he does himself no favors. I know Matt was particularly mad at him because he had money on Kyle Busch, and he's also upset because Chase Briscoe is moving into that 19 car, Martin Truex Jr. next season. And he's like, man, is this guy really the caliber of driver that should be in the 19 car? That's up to you guys to decide. And then Matt's wreckers was the whole Josh Berry situation. I want to touch on that one. So that one was a first lap incident. He made contact and all 4 tires went down. Now, they wanted him to tow the car back to pit road. Now, apparently there's some different rules in place where, and this is according to Jeff Gluck, if you're in an incident and all 4 of your tires go down, they just automatically tow you into the garage. But if you self-spin by yourself and you're alone and you have 4 tires go down, they'll tow you back to pit road. What sense that makes? I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you. In fact, I've been tweeting up a storm. That's why you should follow us at Bump the letter N Run Pod, Bump and Run Pod on Twitter. You see all our hot takes there. I just tweeted at Ronnie Childers, and he liked the tweet too, because something else I noticed is that wasn't the case. So that was the justification. They said Josh Berry made contact. All 4 tires went down. It also set off the sensor to trigger the damaged vehicle policy, which there's a sensor inside the cars that triggers that. And NASCAR claims that he lifted off the ground. All 4 tires lifted off the ground. I didn't see that. I'm going to take their word, but that is the reasoning why they took him back to the garage. Now, here's the thing though. I remember specifically last year at Pocono when Joey Logano got in a wreck with Daniel Suarez. And if you're a longtime listener to the show, you know we had a lot of fun with that because that's where the stupid sons of bitches clip came from. Joey Logano was giving the tow truck drivers hell because he wanted to get towed back to pit road. And that's exactly what they did. Even though he made contact with the wall and Daniel Suarez, they towed Joey Logano's car backwards to pit road, dropped him in his pit box, and his crew was able to get their hands on the car. Now, he couldn't continue going because the damaged vehicle policy clock ran out, but he had the option. So I'm not exactly sure why now NASCAR is going so hard. And we saw it last week at Watkins, or 2 weekends ago at Watkins Glen with Ryan Blaney, where they don't even give the guys the chance anymore. I was pissed off about it. I know Matt was pissed off about it. I know a lot of fans were pissed off about it. And most importantly, Josh Berry and Rodney Childers were pissed off about it. But NASCAR is holding firm that they did nothing wrong. I think it's just shitty, to be honest with you. And then I don't remember what Eric's records were going to be. I think it was just the playoff drivers and their struggles in general. So that's kind of the normal podcast all clumped into one. Some guys that had really great days though. Man, Christopher Bell, he had a dominant car early on, led 6 times for 122 laps, got stage points in the first stage. Second stage, they tried this weird, kind of reminded me of some of the strategy they do at road courses where a caution came out right before the stage end. Some guys pitted, some guys didn't. He really struggled on some of those restarts later on in the race. And then I know he hit the wall a couple times. So Christopher Bell took a great car, kind of threw that one away a little bit, in my opinion. Kyle Busch, though, was there to take advantage. He led 5 laps for 26 laps. He was battling with Ross Chastain for much of that third stage. Of course, he had a spin when he got right behind Chase Briscoe. Never touched anybody. Just lost control of the car. And I think I've heard other people talk about this too. I feel like the next gen car, just Kyle Busch struggles in it to keep car control. We've talked about in the past, just the way this car drives. It drives differently where you used to drive off your right rears. This one kind of drives off the right front tires. You get really tight very quickly or super loose very quickly. And it seems like Kyle Busch really kind of struggles with it. And I think that's where a lot of his struggles have been the last couple of years, because even though Austin Dillon's not doing well in those RCR cars, we do see some flashes of brilliance. So I don't know if it's completely the car. I know Tyler Reddick was able to win that 8 car, and Kyle Busch was able to win last year in that 8 car. So I don't know if it's the car this year or just Kyle's struggling in general. But he finished 19th place after that spin, still on the lead lap. Alex Bowman, I think, that was going to be Matt's checkers, was Alex Bowman. Just super consistent all playoff long. You have to give him credit. He started 12th, finished 6th, gained stage points, won the second stage, led once for 6 laps. Just wasn't enough to get the win, but I feel like the win is coming for Alex Bowman. Maybe at the Roval, I'm pretty sure he's finished in the top 10 or top 5 in every Roval race. At least in the next gen car. I'd have to double check that. That's where I need the stat man, Matt. Ty Gibbs, he finished 5th. I thought he had a great run. He only led twice for 5 laps, but he was one of those guys on that weird strategy where he stayed out on tires and he was able to hold on to it really well. Just a great drive from Ty Gibbs. Ryan Blaney, like I said, he had those pit road issues. He lucked out that Kyle Busch did not win that race. He needed that caution. He was going to run out of gas. So that kept him on the lead lap, and it got him a top 5 finish in the long run. Martin Truex Jr. had a great day. He had his first top 5, I believe, since Kansas in the spring. I was listening to the teardown. They brought up the stat, and I can't remember, but yeah, Martin Truex Jr. has been struggling a lot lately. Finally getting the race he needed, getting himself a top 3 finish. And then William Byron led twice for 24 laps. Man, William Byron, he started in 6th, and he just kept making ground all day long. He won the first stage. He finished 4th in the second. Just a great car. This is the William Byron we remember from the beginning of the season, finally turning it on for the playoffs. And I said, don't be shocked if he does. They kind of cool off throughout the summertime and then really come at it in the playoffs. He moved up a bunch of spots in the standings too. In fact, he's leading the standings right now. But that's kind of all I really have for the race. Again, I thought it was a good race. Not a whole lot of memorable stuff throughout the race besides, again, those playoff driver woes and that battle with Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch. And then here on the Bummer Run Podcast, everyone loves to talk about the winner, Ross Chastain, on a Monday or a Tuesday in this case. But we also like to talk about the loser, and it was one Josh Berry. He just plain got fucked. He got fucked by the system. Who knows? Who knows what could have happened? If it was a playoff driver, I think all sorts of hell would have been raised by now. But we are heading into Talladega. Wild card, anything can happen. No one in the playoffs is safe during Talladega. Friday, trucks on track, 4:30 on FS1 for the Loves RV Stop, 225. Xfinity on track Saturday, 4 p.m. on the CW for the United Rentals, 250. And Cup on track Sunday, 2 p.m. on NBC for the YellaWood 500. To go over our picks from last week, Aric was the big winner. He picked Ryan Blaney. He got him 49 points. And in fact, he is getting close to catching up to Matt in our point standings. Matt always throws it away in the postseason. We'll see what happens. Because Matt picked Kyle Larson. He got him 11 points. And I picked Tyler Reddick. He got me 12 points. So Matt picks first. I pick second. And then Aric picks last. I have their picks in a text message. And Matt, the ever-loving company man who works for Fastenal, is picking the Fastenal Ford of Chris Buescher in that number 17 car to win in Talladega. We know how strong those Fords are at super speedways. We know how great Chris Buescher is. I think it's a great pick. I am actually going to pick an underdog who is good at super speedways. I'm going with Austin Cindric. He's in a must-win situation, in my opinion, to make it out of the playoffs. And I think at Talladega, he can. I think he could do it. We've seen him win at Daytona at the 500 in his first full-time start. And I think he could lock himself into the next round of the playoffs if he plays it smart. Those Fords were fast at Daytona a couple weeks ago. It was all Fords pretty much at Daytona. I don't expect anything much differently from that. So I'm going with Austin Cindric. And then Aric is picking the 20 car of Christopher Bell. You know he runs well at super speedways. We'll see if he can keep the front of his car clean because sometimes he ends up in an accident. But we will find out. To go over the playoffs, a lot of movement. William Byron is currently in first. He's 34 points to the good. Ryan Blaney in second, 28 points to good. Christopher Bell in third, 28 points to good. Kyle Larson lost a bunch of his chunk this week in playoff points. He's sitting 18 points to the good. Denny Hamlin, 11 points to good. Alex Bowman, 8 points to the good. Chase Elliott, 4 points. And Joey Logano rounding out the top 8 in points with 4 points to the good. Tyler Reddick sitting out right now, -4. Daniel Suarez, -14. Chase Briscoe, -25. Another guy I think he needs to win at Talladega to get himself locked in. And then Austin Cindric, he is -29. Of course, he is my pick. We will find out this Sunday. Who will it be? Will it be a playoff driver or will it be Chris Buescher spoiling the playoffs and not letting someone advance? For the second week in a row, we'll have a playoff spoiler. We will find out. Will it be Christopher Bell advancing on once again? He's got to be a championship favorite right now. or will it be Austin Cindric getting the win he needs? We will find out this Sunday, 2 p.m. on NBC for the YellaWood 500, and we'll break it all down for you next Tuesday night. For Matt the Statman Riley, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.